the Arizona Cardinals can finally fade the noise when it comes to past players. What do I mean? Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
On Cardinals, Alex Clancy here. Follow me on Twitter, Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen, free wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals. Hit that subscribe button, man. Turn notifications on. 15 years in sports media in Phoenix. This is my 9th season hosting this lovely show. Everydayers, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. Some since day one. This is your first listen to Locked On Cardinals. Thank you. Maybe make the rest of this week part of your routine by watching me spew things out of my big dumb face. Walter Nolan spoke to the media earlier this morning. He had one very interesting thing to say that I'll discuss in the final segment. What is Jalen Thompson's future? Now, this seems like a secondary or tertiary thing that needs to be discussed, but it's a lot more important than that. And then finally, or primarily, fading the noise. Let's just get into this now. So what you, I, everybody in between has experienced over the last decade, maybe a little bit more. At least it's been more pronounced. It could be recency bias, sure, but it's really been over the last 10 years. It's like players leave, then they just start to talk crap about the Cardinals. Players leave, then they just start to talk crap about the Cardinals. It's the front office. It's how things are run. It's the coaching staff. It's the play style. It's whatever it is. Death, taxes, players talking crap about the Arizona Cardinals organization when they leave. Now, you're omitting Calais Campbell from this. Calais Campbell may be the nicest, most level-headed person on planet Earth. So we're kind of taking him away from this, even though he was lowballed by Steve Keim and Michael Bidwell, and he went and got his cheese multiple spots after. 4 spots, to be exact. Jacksonville, Baltimore, Atlanta, and Miami. Now coming home. So you kind of remove him from that. The biggest name, and this isn't somebody that I just hammer on but Patrick Peterson just went scorched earth on this team. Did it with his podcast with Brian McFadden, his cousin, who was also an Arizona Cardinal, who was an Arizona Cardinal. There was some tie to Antonio Brown and Brian McFadden. I don't know what it was. I don't know if the Cardinals giving a pick to Pittsburgh that ended up being Antonio Brown. I can't remember, but I think there's a direct tie. I talked to Bryant years ago, a good dude. But he and Patrick Peterson have a podcast, and Patrick Peterson just went scorched earth on the Cardinals, namely about Steve Keim, and then now coming back home like a puppy with his tail between his legs, like Ring of Honor, love Arizona, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, I understand the problem with Steve Keim, and I also understand that you acted. And again, this is not a direct personal attack on Patrick Peterson, the person, philanthropic, nice guy. That's not it. The avatar of a professional athlete who acts like this, that's the attack. He comes back, it's like nothing happened. It's like, well, the problem is, and the problem has been, that's kind of commonplace, and even more so, a lot of it is warranted. Maybe not the way that it's packaged together and strewn and spewed, spewed across the interwebs. Not the best, but the message wasn't inaccurate. So now there's a couple things that have happened. One, of course, new head coach, new GM, new coaching staff, kind of new culture. And also the players who are chirping now aren't any sort of important. And this isn't a direct attack on the players whatsoever. Namely, I'll talk about Marco Wilson and Isaiah Simmons most recently. I read an article by Donnie Drew in Sports Illustrated, friend of the show, who highlighted some Isaiah Simmons comments now with Green Bay about how he wasn't used properly, which is true during his time here, 2020, 2021, and 2022. They got traded. like late August. I think it was the 24th and 25th of August, right before the 2023 season. He wasn't used properly, blah, blah, blah. And then Marco Wilson, bless his heart, has not stopped talking about the Cardinals ever since they let him go. So you kind of see, you go from like Patrick Peterson to guys who are struggling to make rosters. That tells me two things. One, the Cardinals are self-editing well. And two, good players aren't leaving. The good players the Cardinals have don't leave. And that's been very new. Okay, obviously, since 2023. Very new. I mean, Budda Baker got his contract, like little bump up, and then his full extension. James Conner got an extension and then another extension. Like, those are the two main dudes who could be elsewhere. And neither of them would talk crap about the organization. First of all, it's not the kind of people they are. And two, they really have no reason to. But you're starting to see this is another like tangential outcome, byproduct of doing things the right way. Fade the noise. Who cares? Keep chirping, dude. You're on what? Your third team? You're with the Giants for a year and a half. That didn't work. So maybe it's not all Cardinals. Did they misuse Isaiah Simmons? 1,000,000%. And also, due diligence done by Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis for an entire offseason cycle before trading him. So that's got to tell you enough to where it's like, it doesn't matter. Like the scheme thing, it didn't fit the scheme. What is Jonathan Gannon's scheme? Insanity? Wizardry? Magic? They put the best players on the field in any given down that would give them a leg up on the opposing offense's scheme in an effort to allow those 11 players to do the one or two things they are excellent at. And that's why when I talk about Jordan Birch, it's like, yeah, maybe he's not going to be the best pass rusher in the world, but you know that he's violent and he can bull rush better than many in this class. And you bet your bottom dollar that Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis is going to figure out a way to make that happen. So fading the noise is something where it's like, yeah, again, not an uncommon story, not just for the Cardinals, just in general. And also, Isaiah Simmons was misused by the last regime with Vance Joseph, where he was with like 9 position groups. It was insane. And also, he didn't do nearly enough when given the opportunity to actually play at an NFL level. And it's not his fault. He probably shouldn't have been drafted by the Cardinals. That should have been Tristan Wirfs or CeeDee Lamb. Like, we know this. We've done it all over and over again. But you're able to just, okay, I'm sorry that you're upset that you didn't play well enough to stay with the Arizona Cardinals. Jonathan Gannon, Nick Rallis, and Monty Osborne did a full offseason cycle with Isaiah Simmons before trading him right before week 1. So they did their due diligence. They minded their P's and Q's. And they said, you know what? Ain't gonna happen. So it's a small shift, but it's nevertheless a shift. All's quiet because all of the good players the Cardinals have had, they're still Arizona Cardinals. That is a massive change. And every situation is different. Patrick Peterson's situation is different. He was a little bit older. He wanted more money than they wanted to give him, et cetera. He was also done. He went to, Minnesota, and then he went to Pittsburgh. But Patrick Peterson's a Hall of Famer. Marco Wilson, Isaiah Simmons. And you can just look at this when things are printed. They're talking about their last teams. It's like, good riddance. The Cardinals self-editing their roster, not being like forcing it. Oh, he was the 8th overall pick. You got to make it work. No, doesn't work. See it? It's a shift. Very little incremental things are being done differently than in years past with different outcomes, most of which have the Cardinals in the power position, no matter how big or small. And I always, go back and forth about, well, you can compare the Cardinals to other organizations with this. You can't with others. We've talked about this a lot. Like, this one, you can't. This is their own journey. It's like, well, look at how great Baltimore is doing. Yeah, okay. You can't compare the Cardinals and Baltimore right now. You just can't. You just can't. But what they're doing, what they can control, they're controlling in a much more level-headed and methodical way and correct way more times than not. You're always going to get chirps from previous players, But the Arizona Cardinals are finally in a place where they can fade the noise and just, hone in on the task at hand, which is winning 10-plus games and making the playoffs in 2025 and beyond. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. What's Jaylen Thompson's future with the team? It's a fascinating topic. Not sure with that inflection. Talk about it next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by the Game Time app. There's nothing like the NBA playoffs, man. The intensity, buzzer beaters, fans losing their minds is the kind of atmosphere you must experience live. And this year's matchups have been insane. The NBA playoffs have been insane, dude. They've been insane. We've got Game 5 tonight. If you want in, Game Time makes it easy and, to get seats, even for the biggest playoff games. Prices on the app actually drop closer to tip-off. And with killer last-minute deals, panoramic seat views, and no surprise fees, Game Time is a total game changer. Say you're a Pacers fan and you want to fly out to OKC, get last-minute tickets today. You can do it on the Game Time app. If you're like, hey, listen, I don't want to spend that much, which is fine. Tickets are expensive sometimes. I want to see what my vantage point is going to be, though, before I buy the tickets and fly out there, drive out there, whatever it is. They've got those seat views. You click on the section in the row, and it'll show you a panoramic view of what you're going to see from those seats before you buy them. It's absolutely insane. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets. Lowest price. Guaranteed. Please go to the YouTube channel. Search Locked On Arizona Cardinals. Hit that subscribe button, man. Turn notifications on. You know the drill. So Jalen Thompson. It's a fascinating situation because, the dude's been great. I'll give Steve Keim credit for a couple picks over his, 10 years with tenure. Budda Baker's always number one. He's always number one because they moved up to get him, top of the second round, ahead of Seattle in 2017. They saw the guy they wanted, they went up and they got him, and they were right. Okay? That's the only time that's happened. Truly. Moving up, getting somebody, and it working. A lot more Josh Rosens than Budda Bakers. But Jalen Thompson was drafted in the 4th round of a supplemental draft. I think it was the year after out of Washington State. Dude's been great. Truly, he's been great. He's been making pennies on the dollar from what he could be making elsewhere. And he got through the injury stuff early in his career. He's missed spot games here and there, but he's been great. He's been a great strong safety complement to Budda Baker. He's a great open field tackler. He hits really hard. He's pretty good in coverage if they drop him down towards the line of scrimmage. He's been great, especially for the money. Okay. And the Trey McBride one, that's what I get. That's what I get when I say that thing about Steve Keim. There is no rational world where Steve Keim should have drafted a tight end there. He got lucky. Okay. He got absolutely lucky. They needed pass rush and offensive line. They traded for a wide receiver in the 1st round and then drafted a tight end in the 2nd round. Okay. He got lucky. You give him 0 credit for that. 0 points. You do not pass go, and may God have mercy on your soul. I went Monopoly and Billy Madison there. Spewing about, as it were. And we're back. So you gave him no credit for that. 0. That was a luck box pick, and it's great for the Cardinals, and it's fantastic. You look at his track record, he's not smart enough to make that pick in the 2nd round. Let's be honest. Okay, anyways, Jalen Thompson's been great. Okay? He's been exactly what you need as a set and forget 1A to Budda Baker. Budda Baker is not who he is today without Jalen Thompson. And it's not like a Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen thing. There's a gap there. It's not 1 and 1A that way, or A+ and B+, like Scottie and Jordan were. And I'm not comparing Budda Baker to Michael Jordan, the greatest player. Okay, but it's just an example. Now with that, I'll get ahead of this now. I mentioned if the Cardinals wanted to move up in the draft at any point, and you want to offer Jalen Thompson as a piece plus the pick, that would have been a different conversation. And now that didn't happen, I'm not saying that they 100% should happen. But Now that he's an Arizona Cardinal still wearing 34 on game day, and now that you've got Taylor-Demerson who's waiting in the wings, but like we saw with Rabbit last year and with Trey Benson last year, that doesn't mean that Budda Baker and James Conner are gone. I'm sorry that this is difficult to compute for some people. This is why I try to just ring people like, think for yourself. Just think. Oh, they drafted that position, so that means that player is gone next year because I'm smart and that's what the best pundit. No, watch, look, think, see. So we didn't see that. And the antithesis of that happened where both Budda Baker and James Conner are still here. Okay, now, they do have an out in the contract. Dead cap hit will be 10 mil. If he signed, the cap hit will be 13. So negligible. I think it's a mistake to move off Jalen Thompson now. I don't think that they need a roster spot so bad that they'd cut him. His production, while he didn't have his best year last year, this isn't a DJ Humphries drop-off from, what was it, 2022 to 2023. It wasn't that. Like DJ Humphries lost a massive step quickly. Jalen Thompson hasn't. And they do like to play three safeties on the field at times. Like this is something that, say Budda Baker were to get hurt. Knock on wood. Obviously, this is my disclaimer. Yeah, you don't want anybody to get hurt, let alone, somebody that you watch, cover, whatever it is. You don't want your worst enemy to get hurt. If you want people to get hurt, you've got problems. Jalen Thompson, Budda Baker, Taylor-Demerson. If one of them were to get injured, you've got your safety net. This is a power position the Cardinals are in that position group. And he's a great mentor for the young DBs too. Like Jalen Thompson is an Arizona Cardinal. Jalen Thompson, Budda Baker, James Conner, Kyler Murray, Trey McBride. Like Jalen Thompson has been here for 6 years. He's an Arizona Cardinal, dude. Like I'm not moving off from him. If they were thinking about making some sort of drastic move in the draft and packaging him with a pick to move up 8 or 10 spots, yeah, we're having a different conversation, of course. But now that didn't happen, and I think it's a good thing, they need all hands on deck in that secondary in 2025. Because just like the offensive line, the locomotive cannot stop if injuries happen. There's no more room for error. And there wasn't like room for error before where it's like, oh, it'll be fine. It's a 5-year plan. No. Like they're here. They're like, this is the beginning of either the beginning or the beginning of the end for many things. We're going to find out in 2025 what the hell's going on. And it's going to be sweet. And it's going to be awesome. And Jalen Thompson wearing number 34 on game day should 100% be in 2025. And then you get to have the fun conversation on if 2026 is in the cards and then he's an unrestricted free agent after that. You extend him 2 years. You keep him in. There's no rush with this defense. It's not like, okay, Taylor-Demerson, now it's his second year at Texas Tech. He showed flashes last year of being a Jalen Thompson, like, doppelganger. He's like a perfect mix of Jalen Thompson and Budda Baker. But just even if he does take that step and Jalen Thompson still plays well this year, that doesn't mean you got to move off from him. You could have that three-headed monster over the top for the next 3 years. There's no rush. And that's why I think it's perfect. Litmus test. See what's going on. No need to sign a contract. No need to do any of that. And see what you got. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. You know what you got with the rookies. They are one bona fide unit as training camp is in full swing. I'll discuss the next Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. You know, when it comes to the rookies, in my, decade and a half doing this, I don't know if I've ever seen something even close in the same zip code as how good the rookies have it with roster construction outside of them for the Cardinals. The one thing that we used to, kind of look at and, discuss when it came to this roster was you don't want rookies to have to save a position group. That's something I've discussed. And then a couple years ago, it was like, well, now every rookie kind of has a buddy in the position group. Garrett Williams has Budda Baker, which is not the same, but Garrett Williams had Budda Baker. Paris Johnson Jr.'s got his dudes across the line. But it was still kind of reaching. It was still kind of reaching because there weren't dudes at pretty much every position to be able to, would be the veteran rookie buddy system. And now you've got it everywhere. You've got it everywhere. The offensive line's kind of a mishmash. I mean, with Isaiah Adams, he's got his dudes. They've got everybody. Everybody's there. Jonah Williams, Yalta, and Paris. Like, they've got – it's just a family, The pass rush room and the defensive – just like the defensive front, you're loaded. Joshua, Jalen Thompson, Calais Campbell. I mean, give me a break. Give me a break. And you've got Darius Robinson and Bija Ojulari coming into their second and third year respectively, even though it's really like their first and second year. And you've got Jordan Birch. Like, those guys are going to be fine. They're going to learn so much more efficiently during their rookie season than what Arizona Cardinals rookies used to have to deal with. I mean, even Cody Simon having Mac Wilson next to him. Mac's not an all-pro, but he's been very good since being an Arizona Cardinal. And then now you have Garrett Williams to be able to handle that role with Max Melton, which he did last year, and then Will Johnson coming in. And then you've got Rabbit with Budda and Jaylen Thompson over the top. And you've got, James Conner is still able to help with Trey Benson, and then the wide receiver room is a wide receiver room. And you've got Jacoby Brissett coming in to be with Kyler. Like, this is the next iteration of what Colt McCoy was able to do for Kyler. And I know Kyler, he's been in the league closer to a decade than not now. So I know it's not like, well, how much mentoring do you need? Having Jacoby Brissett, who has not the same skill set as Kyler, but a lot closer than Colt McCoy, it's going to allow to add a wrinkle into this situation that will only benefit Kyler Murray. And then you have a guy, say Kyler would have missed time, knock on wood. You've got a guy who has proven he can win games. He's the perfect, quintessential, new age backup where he can run too as well. He's not a runner by any stretch, but he can run over a corner if he needs to. And you've got your guy for short yardage situation that isn't Clayton Tune. So when Walter Nolan stepped to the podium today, went just huge wind up there. When Walter Nolan stepped to the podium today, he was asked and he said something to the effect of, this rookie group is a unit. We see it as one unit. And the fact that they've got so much veteran leadership, proven top flight veteran leadership in almost every position group that you've got a rookie at. Another little wrinkle of things when you start to see what compound interest looks like when you build things the right way year over year. And again, we have no idea what's going to happen. And again, this is the best roster and the deepest roster based on proven and future pacing we've seen the last 20 years. Truly, top to bottom. Now, the top may not be the top of what it was, like with Fitz and Anquan Bolden, Darnell and Carlos Dansby when he was a stud, and Patrick Peterson when he was a rookie, or rookie first 5-7 years, but that was so top heavy. Even with BA, it's like, okay, so you bring in a 35-year-old Carson Palmer, you bring in Chris Johnson off the trash heap, and he ends up leading the league in rushing until he got hurt. Then David Johnson took over for 15 minutes. And then, but you got John Brown, J.J. Nelson. Like, these aren't like world-beating wide receivers, but the tip-top guys were like all pro. This, while the top is lower for sure, the floor is exponentially higher. And that's what 2025 is about. I've said it and I will continue to say it, and I will proverbially tattoo it on my forehead. 2025 is about raising the floor, not reaching the ceiling. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Remember, without you, there is no me. I'll talk to you on Wednesday.